Have you ever caught yourself scrolling the PlayStation Store or scrolling on Steam or anything like that, and then you have so many games to pick from, and yet still none piques your interest? Because I think that's kind of a problem that I've been facing a fair bit, and maybe you have been too. And the reason why I think it's so hard to actually find a game you like these days is for a few reasons. Like the first one is gaming companies these days market and build their games in ways that they know will bring in money, so they'll often take the safe road. So what I mean by that is they'll recycle content, they'll milk a game title just because they know it will bring them money, or they'll take a game and they'll just continue like bringing new content like DLCs to it because they know it will get them money. Now that necessarily isn't a bad thing, but you'll find that when a lot of the games feel and play the same, and then you have other gaming companies or people who make indie games trying to copy these big game titles or whatever, it just feels like a lot of games are starting to feel the same, play the same. And when you're looking for something new, something fresh, it kind of just puts you off a bit, if that makes sense. And another reason why I think it's hard to find a game these days is because I think that you've honestly got too much to pick from. Like, this reason kind of applies to me a lot as well. But I remember when I was a kid, where when I got my games, it was usually from my parents, like it was a birthday present, or it was a surprise. They just randomly got me a game for no particular reason. But my main point is, whatever game they got me, I got. There was nothing else. I didn't get to debate them on it. I didn't get to, pick and choose from a large selection. It's just that whatever the game they handed me, that's what I had to play. And that led to me experimenting a lot more with the games I played, because I either had the choice of playing the new game that my parents got me, or replaying the same old games I had on my shelf. And since I didn't have a lot of games just stacked up there on my shelf ready to play, it eventually got to the point where I replayed those games so many times, to the point where whenever something new came around, I wanted to try it, and it was almost a guarantee that I'd play it, because obviously, even though the games I did have weren't bad, you do eventually want to play something new every now and then. And I honestly think that just something as simple as that led to me playing a lot of games that I ended up enjoying that I probably never would have actually gave the shot, just simply because I didn't have a large selection of games to pick from, and I just had to play whatever I got at the time. And that brings me to my final reason as to why it's a lot harder to find games when you get older that you actually like, and that reason is you naturally get a feeling for what you do and don't like in games, so you're probably naturally excluding or not even giving games a chance just because you've looked at the trailer and just automatically decided that it's not for you. And I can admit that I'm guilty of it a bit myself. When I remember back when I got games when I was younger, I didn't watch gameplay trailers. I didn't get like little snippets on TikTok of, other people playing the game. I just read what was on the back of the cover, and then I just played it. And these days, I feel like you get too much information on your hands. It's not a bad thing, but it can lead you to judging games a bit too harshly. And it probably leads you to dismissing a lot of games that would otherwise be good. Because I know, even though you can sense what you do and don't like, it is a bit, let's just say, I don't know. It's a lot different from watching a game to it is actually playing. Like, you might look at a game and think, oh yeah, that's boring when you watch it. But then when you actually play it and you get to feel how it works yourself, it can be a lot more interesting. Like for me, I know this isn't like, a game you'd play on the PS5, but chess for an example. Because when I have watched people play chess, I've seen, other people play games or whatever. I've seen like Magnus Carlsen or Hikari or whatever, they play games. It always looked pretty boring to me when I was younger. I just never really seen how people could find that fun. And then when I actually played it myself, I was like, holy man, like this game, I've been missing out. All right. And I think that's the same with like games and their like trailers and the gameplay footage. Now, as I said before, obviously you want to know what you're buying before you get it, and you want to see if you like it. But I do think that it leads to people judging it a lot harsher than you probably should. So I think that when you buy a game, you should probably keep it in mind that what you're watching in the gameplay trailer or the snippet you're seeing on TikTok isn't 100% accurate. Because like I said with my example with chess, I looked at that when I was younger, seen people play, and I thought that was boring. And then when I played it, a few months ago, I was like, I've been missing out. I like the game. It's pretty good. And I feel like that can happen as well with actual games. Like, for instance, I remember before I ever played Elden Ring, I thought it was boring. It didn't look that fun. I was like, you know what? I might as well give it a shot. I want to try something new. And I've said it multiple times on this channel, but I ended up platinuming the game. So it just is something to consider. But anyway, that's about all my reasons as to why it's a lot harder to find games you actually like. And if you watched this far, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and that is it for the video.